Welcome to the series of videos on pipe network productivity tools for AutoCAD Civil 3D. In this video, we'll discuss the standard selection options and the part selection helper. Pipe network productivity tools comes with a number of selection options for our pipes. The reason for that is we're dealing with a lot of different pipes and structures, a lot of different sizes and things like that, and so being able to select your structures from your drawing in different methods becomes very helpful, especially for different commands. And so this video we're going to talk about the different selections here. We're going to start with the settings dialog to cover the different selection options. And so if you go to the global settings here at the top of the dialog, you'll see that there's an initial option here for selection mode. And so we're prompting for selection mode here, and this is disabled. So when it does prompt for selection mode, it's going to follow every selection mode that's available for a given command. And so if I uncheck this, you can take a look at what selection modes we do offer. And that is network, selecting by a network, selecting multiple, which is just picking random parts on screen, a path, which is a starting object and an ending object, and then it finds the path through that network. It does have to be within the same network to find the path. And then alignment allows us to find things along a given alignment swath. And some commands we also do allow for all networks, and so you have those options. So if you don't like the selection modes that are offered and you just want to work with one selection mode most of the time, you would come in here and set this to, say, network if you're always working with that selection mode the majority of the time. Most of the time I like to be able to choose my selection mode as I'm working, and so that's what that toggles for. The next option here is to be able to filter our selection. So we're going to gather some parts, and then we may want the ability to filter those parts down, which I'll show that. So by default, it's going to prompt you for selection filtering, which you can turn on and off. You can just hit yes or no from a keyword. If you uncheck this, you'll see you have yes or no here as your default option for that value. And then within that, if we do say yes and we get into the selection filter dialog, how are we filtering out parts? And the default option is by part name description, or you have just description of the part, of the object's description. So those are kind of how you can control the selection modes. I'm going to leave both of these on, and we're going to hit apply. And then let's use the part selection helper for this command just to demonstrate how we're selecting things. Now this command allows you to perform different selections, and then it selects those objects on screen for you so that then you can do further things with them. So we'll use this. And this command allows for selecting both plan and profile parts or one or the other. I'm just going to use plan in this case. And then here's this keyword selection that you'll see throughout the tools where you get the option of selecting all networks, an individual network, the multiple, the path, or the alignment. So let's just start with a given network and kind of talk about the filtering option. So I'm going to pick a network, and I pick my storm network, and then do I want to filter that? Because that network has quite a few pipes and structures in it. So I'm going to say yes, I do want to filter that out for what I'm doing. And you'll be presented with this dialog here. So in the top half of the dialog is structures, the bottom half is pipes, and you can see it's automatically pulled in all of the structure types, part size names. And so we only have 48-inch diameter structures in this, and that's why we're seeing that. For the pipes, we do have a number of different pipe sizes, so we can see that. If we pick just one of these items, you can see our current selection has 20 total. But based off of what I picked, we filtered it down to one pipe. So there's one pipe that's a 60-inch. If I'm looking for two, I can hold control and I can select those, and then you can see the filter count drop down. So I could pick which pipes I want, which pipe sizes, and if I hit apply, I would only get those pipe sizes. Also, if I have nothing selected up here in the top half, I'm not going to get any structures on the way out of this dialog. I would only get pipes. Now, that's not a big deal. Some commands are only pipe driven and some are only structure driven, but your initial selection will have could have both pipes and structures, and so you'll see them here on this dialog. Let's look at the filtering options we have for structures. If we come up here into structures, again, you have the part size name here, but then we also offer different filtering options. And those are by structure depth. So if you want to pick structures by their depth values, you could do so. You could hit structure depth, and then you could say, I want to measure the structure to the bottom of the structure. And I want to say if the structure depth is greater than, or what options do you want to qualify that selection, right? And then you have the ability of entering in a value in here. And then it would filter this list here down by those depths. So you may end up with structures that would disappear out of this list because of that. Next, let's look at the other options. We have connected pipe inner size or outer size. So the pipe sizes that go into those structures, we want to select structures based on those. That comes in really handy for tools like swap multiple parts. We might want to grab all of our structures that have pipes that are larger than a specific value so that we can filter those out and swap those to a larger structure that is going to accommodate the correct pipe size. So if I was performing that command, which we're just doing part selection helper, I could do that connected pipe inner size. And it takes a second because now it's analyzing all the structures and it's creating a list of the the connected pipe sizes that are in them. And so then I can filter my structures by connected pipe size. I can look at the height or the width of the pipes. And then if they're, again, greater than, equal to, less than, all those options. And then I could say anything that's greater than a 36 inch, or in this case, we're at a 48 inch diameter structure. So let's go anything that's greater than a 48 inch perhaps. Then it would filter that down, and if I select this here, you can see that it's filtered down and it's found 3 structures that have pipes coming into them that are greater than this size. And then I would click apply, and then in this command it selects the structures. It selects the structures and pipes that I had picked in that dialog. So you can see it's picked the appropriate pipes by size here, and then it's also picked structures that have larger pipes coming into them. Let's do part selection helper again, and we'll run plan view. And instead of choosing network, I'm going to choose alignment because this one's a little bit different as well. These are, again, multiple you're picking on screen. Path, you're picking a start part and an end part, and it finds that path. I think those are fairly self-explanatory, but the alignment one does use a dialog. And so for the alignment, we'll see our different alignments up here. And so I could say I want to find all my pipes and structures that are within a certain swath on a given alignment. And so you could run this on various alignments. So maybe I want to run it on roadway A and roadway B. And I only want to look at, say, maybe I want my sanitary and my storm network. And I want to find all those parts that fall within this swath. And so the swath that it's going to look at is the left and right side of the alignment. I'm using the unit 30 here. So this would be 30 feet or 30 meters or whatever it is you're working with. And then the start end, I'm using 20 foot. So it would go beyond the alignment from the end or the beginning and give and kind of create a swath box for what falls in there. Now there's some additional scenarios that could happen in this. And that's, do we want to locate our pipes by the start-end coordinates? And so if our start-end coordinates of our pipe fall within that swath box, then that would get selected. and if either one of these were outside of that box, then it wouldn't get selected, because right now both coordinates have to be within it. And so you have those options to turn those on and off. Additionally, you could have a pipe that crosses a selected alignment. Do you want to have that selected or not? So the start end coordinates might not cross, or might not be within that swath box, but the pipe still crosses the alignment. So do you want to show that? And so you could have that turned on or off. And then structures, we only have the insertion point on structures to locate those, so we have that option in there to toggle that on and off, to be able to filter out that for whatever needs may be. And so from there, then you would say select. And then again, it's asking us to filter from that selection set. So all of those work that same way. You're picking your selection set, and then you're filtering further from that point. I'm going to say no in this case, and now I've got my selected parts here. And so that's the selection methods that are available within Pipe Network Productivity Tools, and all of these commands, where possible, we use that same selection method, so that you can then pass it into whatever command it is you're working with and quickly obtain your parts as needed to move on to whatever function it is you're trying to do. Thanks for watching. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and be sure to check out our other apps on the Autodesk Exchange Store.